The following is an exclusive presentation of Jessup Broadcasting, the sports leader in Southeast Georgia.
World famous. The world famous Butch and Bob Show.
And good morning to you. You're listening to the Big Dog, WIFO FM in Jessup, 105.5 on your FM dial, Big Dog Country Radio. Butch Everett here with you, along with Bob Morgan on this Wednesday morning. It is the 18th day of March. World-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Murphy Builder Supply, located on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jessup, and by Nips Car Wash, located, let's see here, right on Highway 341 South, right past McDonald's there on the left-hand side. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
You're good.
I'm here. I'm watching all that NFL frenzy, seeing where everybody's going.
Yeah. Brady's going to be a buck. He's going to be playing against our Falcons.
Yep, twice a year. Got to play against Drew Brees twice a year, too, so that'll be interesting.
That'll be very interesting.
I just had enough of Belichick.
Yeah, I guess you can only take so much of it. 20 years.
20 years is enough.
20-year marriage is over, huh?
That marriage is over. So they said his wife said he was being disrespected and he wanted him out. So whether that's the case or not, but I would love to have been a fly on the wall listening to him and Bob Kraft, because Kraft says, he treats him like a son. He loves Brady.
Yeah, he does.
But Brady said he definitely wanted out. He said, "I'm sorry, just can't work with Belichick no more. Got to go."
Yeah, well, new place, new league.
So it'd be interesting.
Offensive weapons all around him down there. He's going to have more there than he did in New England this past year. So it'll be interesting to see how the change is made. And plus, you've got an offensive mind head coach down there.
And Tampa Bay's got to be excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They lose Jameis Winston and Mr. Crablegs to Tom Brady, Super Bowl champion. That's a big improvement.
Mr. Crablegs from Free Shoe University?
Free Shoe University.
Sorry about that, Bill Cheshire.
30 interceptions. So they want Winston out.
All right.
The funny story is down in Carolina. Cam Newton's all upset, but they're going after Teddy Bridgewater and telling them they don't want no more Cam Newton. Cam Newton's upset, said I don't know where he's going to go. So
I'm sure he'll go
interesting to see
somewhere.
where it all goes.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Well, it is a Wednesday. We'll check and see if State Representative Bill Werkheiser is going to call in on Wednesdays with Werkheiser. And
he's probably tuned in, so I'm sure he's...
Yeah, he usually tunes in every single morning for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show. We know he's not in Atlanta. There he is. Like clockwork.
Like on cue.
All right, Bob, go ahead and talk to him.
Okay, it's Wednesday for Bill Werkheiser. Bill, you on the phone? How you doing?
I am, Bob. How you doing?
We're doing great. So where are you at right now? You're not in Atlanta.
I am in Glenville.
In Glenville.
So that would happen on a Wednesday in March.
Well, again, give us the latest. You said the sessions have been suspended, but a lot took place before the session ended. And I asked Blake yesterday, they have any idea when they're going back? He said they don't have any idea. You have any idea, if you had to guess, when you think they'll go back?
No, and I think anybody's guess is going to be as good as mine, depending on what the numbers happen with the virus. If this social distancing works, and it spikes and curtails, then we'll get called in. But right now, everyone's saying it's a minimum of 2 weeks. There is a good guess that we could go back. We are going back in 30 days. The House and the Senate signed and delivered papers to the governor and the Secretary of State Monday that we would be going in on April the 15th. And the reason that's the day is because, as Blake, I'm sure, talked to you yesterday about the governor's executive powers, we're going to go and look and see if they need to be extended for another 30 days, or if we just need to halt it at that point.
Well, a lot was done yesterday. I said the governor signed his mid-year budget that funds the state through the end of June, but it does include $100 million to fight the coronavirus. So that was a good move by the legislature and the governor. So tell us about that. Also, they're talking about trying to help small businesses. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, and that's tough because where do you start? And I know on the federal level, airlines and restaurants are asking that's, to me, the number of cases have been small, but that could be because we haven't had testing available. But the thing that bothers me the most is what this is doing to the economy. Just think about the number of people. I mean, there are jobs that, of course, can be done from home, but, service workers, restaurant waiters and waitresses, that's their livelihood. And a lot of those are not high-paying jobs. So this is going to have a major, major trickle-down effect.
Yeah, like I told Blake yesterday, is interested, before the session began and before this virus, came to the light, the talk was the governor wanted people to cut budget because he was looking at an economic downturn, in the future. Well, it's here a lot sooner than we expected. And as you mentioned, the economic impact is going to be the big question. How hard a hit is it going to be, before it's all said and done? I mean, just look around the country, and it's, you can see I listen to sports talk radio all day long, and they had a story the other night. The NCAA basketball tournament in Vegas, they had to refund all that money because it did not take place. They said that is 11% of the economic for the whole year. They lost 11% of their income in Vegas on the NCAA basketball tournament alone. So that's just one instance. So, I mean, but...
Yeah, that's just one single event.
Yeah, you just see, you talk about the Masters at Augusta, and all these events that are being canceled, the economy, the St. Patrick's Day in Savannah. I mean, it's just a big economic impact for a lot of these communities that, that they just have to take.
That's the scary part. If not a single person gets sick starting today, that's going to be tough. But you brought up another good point, too, about the budget. We just spent 6 weeks going over, cutting on a budget that we may have to revisit that, because it's all based on what we think is going to come in. Well, all those circumstances you just described, that's how the state gets half its income is from those businesses. So, if our revenues are down, we may have some tough decisions ahead of us.
They talk about businesses being hit, but like I said, these events, like the NCAA Final Four in Atlanta, all those vendors, people that just, that's their only source of income. I mean, that's what they do. They go to these stadiums and they work as vendors. So they're just simply out of work. So, I mean, there's just a lot of people impacted all across the state and all across the nation.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We can talk about, so what's interesting is this all happened, right at crossover. So Thursday night, the House was in to a little past midnight. So we voted on 60-something bills, I believe. Number could be higher, but I've got a list of some of those if you want to talk about them. One of the biggest things that's really been an issue for several years because of these sexual abuse cases, with the U.S. women's gymnastics, and of course some of these big groups. We did pass and again, these all have to go over to the Senate once we get back in session. We passed a Child Victim Protective Act, which is going to allow victims of childhood sexual abuse to recover or ask for damages if they're brought within 4 years. It used to be 2 years from the date the plaintiff knew that they had reason to know the abuse. But a bigger part of that is now they can bring actions against not only the person or the volunteer or the employee, but the entity itself if there's a preponderance of evidence that the group, and the two that come to mind is Boy Scouts and Catholic Church, if there's evidence that there was a cover-up of that. So that could be a game changer, and I'm glad we did that. Every year we seem to tackle things that didn't even exist years ago, but the gift card industry has become such a big deal. Had to create new classes, I guess, laws that, especially on the big, it's become a big organized crime thing. We're literally, we heard stories of truckloads of gift cards from Home Depot are being stolen, and the problem is there's really two crimes being committed. Not only is someone taking that money, but these gift cards, they're not actually taking the physical card, they're taking the money from the card. And so, you give a gift card in good faith, and then your, mother, brother, whoever goes to redeem it a month later, hands it to the cashier, and there's no money on it. And so, had to do some regulations regarding that. One that ever since being elected, the governor and his wife have been trying to crack down on crimes on gangs, and so we passed a pretty comprehensive gang activity bill that added certain crimes if they were gang related, and it would move certain ages. Normally, if you're up to 17 years old, you're adjudicated as a juvenile. If these are going to move some of those crimes into an adult level or to the adult court, and so we passed that Thursday. Some of the things that pretty common sense is remove sales tax on to those who are doing nonprofit work, especially in the area of foods, so that we help. And this is really going to be important now for purchases made or donated to nonprofit health centers, health clinics, qualified food banks, stuff like that.
Okay,
So
Bill. Well, again,
go ahead.
No, just say we got other guests here, so
Okay.
we appreciate
I can stop, and we'll pick up next Wednesday.
Right. We appreciate you calling in. Like I said, stay safe, and appreciate the update.
Okay. All right. Talk to y'all later.
All right, thank you very much. And State Representative Bill Werkheiser there, here on the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, WIFO 105.5 FM in Jessup. More guests here on the show, and Bob, who's our next guest?
Well, we got Hospital Administrator Joe Rodigan again. A lot of people concerned about the virus, what effect it has here in Wayne County. Again, effective Tuesday, the hospital's limited visitors, only 2 people per patient allowed in the building. Also, the cafeteria is closed. Those are some of the changes that have been made already, Joe. But again, the first question everybody asks is, has there been a positive test yet in Wayne County? The answer is still is no.
No. Let's put all this. Let's put all this in perspective. Okay, 2 things I want everyone to do is A, don't get your news from Facebook, and B, step away from toilet paper. We really don't need. If folks, no, I mean, I still can't figure that one out. If folks want to go to the store and get some things that would be worth having, go to a local pharmacy and pick up maybe some Advil or Tylenol, some cold and flu medicine, Sudafed, Mucinex. Those are the things that you need to have in your house, because if you get to not feeling well, these items have been shown that if you contract the coronavirus, and 85% of the people that contract this virus have very mild symptoms, and these things help to manage those for the 2 to 4 days that you have it. I want to put everything in perspective for everyone here. Roughly 30 million people in this country have contracted the flu this year. That's a lot of people. That's about 10% of our population. Almost 20,000 people have unfortunately passed away from the flu. In Georgia, we have just over 10 million people. So
and that's just the regular.
That's regular
flu.
Regular flu.
Okay.
If you equate that in Georgia, that means roughly 1 million people in Georgia have gotten the flu this year. I think it was 146 have gotten coronavirus So let's put that in perspective, okay?
Joe, I was just doing some we can get back to you reading there that said, around 35 million people contracted the flu in 2019. That's 96,000 people a day in the United States last year contracted the flu. Just a regular flu. So, like you said, put it in perspective.
Put it in perspective. Monday, 74 people tested positive for the flu. 22 people tested positive for the coronavirus. So what's coronavirus? It's a virus. It's very similar to the flu in a lot of ways and how it makes you feel. Difference in this virus is, excuse me, it's a lot more contagious. And that's what a lot of the folks are worried about, is because you can contract it easier. I think a lot of the measures that are being put in place with the social distancing and, the things we're doing at the hospital is to just try to, keep that spread as low as possible. But again, 85% of the people that get the coronavirus are going to have flu-like symptoms for 2 to 4 days, and they're going to be fine. They're going to be tired. It's going to be just like any other time when you get ill. It takes a few days afterwards to get better. It's an unknown virus, and I think that scares a lot of folks. But to look at it from a positive sense, literally from the folks I talk to, every hour we are learning something new about this virus. I saw a study last night that they're finding for people who are recovering that they're creating antibodies in their plasma, and they think that if they can take some blood from folks who have overcome the virus, they could use that and maybe give those to patients who are battling the virus, who have the severe symptoms, to help fight them off. So there's all kinds of things that are being done. The clinical trial started Monday in a potential new vaccine. So, we need to watch this. We need to be careful. We need to use good common sense. Jeffrey Harris put it quite well. He said everyone needs to use what they learned in kindergarten. Wash your hands. Don't sneeze on everybody. If you don't feel well, stay home. It's okay. If you don't feel good, stay home. But trust me, everyone will understand. If you don't feel well, stay home. If you don't feel well, it doesn't mean that you have the coronavirus. South Korea did a really good job with their drive-up testing, and they only tested folks who had symptoms, severe symptoms. And 97% of those people that had symptoms of coronavirus tested negative. So just because you don't feel well, that doesn't mean that you have the coronavirus. We have no cases here in Wayne County. We're probably going to get some, okay? If we get some, that's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. We need to practice what we've been told, make sure we stay at home. If we've been around somebody that has a coronavirus, don't go to a family gathering if you've been around that person. Self-quarantine. Odds are just because you're around somebody that has a coronavirus doesn't mean you're going to get it. I'm not trying to trivialize this. We are vigilant. We are staying on top of this, but we gotta put this in perspective and just use common sense. At the hospital, we are very sorry that we had to close the cafeteria. That's not something we want to do, but to protect our workers, our coworkers. We want to protect them, and if there is a lot of folks that need help, we need our folks healthy and be able to be there. If someone's exposed to the coronavirus, they could be out of work if they get it for 14 days, and that's 14 days they can't be out there helping folks. So the visitor policy, we know you want to visit Aunt Sally or Aunt Sue in the hospital, and I'm sure they would love to have you come to visit. But during this time, if you really don't have any business at the hospital, we ask that you stay away just to protect everyone involved.
Is there a way to get tested, though, if you feel bad? Where do people go? If you're having these symptoms and you don't know if you have the virus or not, where do you go to get tested?
Testing is limited. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's very, very limited. Contact your healthcare provider. I'm going to give you shortly here some phone numbers you can call. But really what we're asking folks is if you have a temperature of less than 101, if you just have some aches and pains and tired, just stay home. getting tested, come out to get tested for the coronavirus, that's something that can then enhance the community-wide spread. What we're telling folks is if you have a very high temperature, 102, 103, if you're short of breath, if you're having chest pain, then you need to come out and come get looked at, and we'll be happy to look at you. But if you're having the mild symptoms, just stay home. Again, that's going to help community-wide spread.
If you stay home, what do you recommend they do? I mean, drink plenty of fluids.
Drink plenty of fluids. That's another thing I forgot to mention. While you're picking up these things at your local pharmacy, make sure you have water, Gatorade, Powerade, whatever it is that they make sure you have plenty of fluids so you don't get dehydrated. It's basically battling the flu in a lot of ways, battling the flu. It's a very contagious disease, but there are also a lot of other contagious diseases that are out in our community. So I get asked all the time, are we ready for, to fight this? This people come in and they're quite contagious, and we are. We have the protective equipment. We have some emergency stockpiles that we've created. Angie Jones is our director of disaster planning and our risk manager, and she's been fantastic in preparing our organization with things as supplies and mutual aid agreements to be able to handle this the best we can. And I'll tell you this too, if you see a healthcare worker, whether it be a doctor, a nurse, lab technician, radiology tech, respiratory therapist, clerical person, tell them thank you, because they're the ones that are diving right into this thing. They're the ones on the front line that are diving right into this thing to be able to help folks. And I can promise you, we've got 500 of them right down the street that are ready, willing, and able to take care of folks if they need us. And let's hope that we don't need to be used as much as we think we may.
And what medications, once again, did you recommend for folks to have in their home in case they do start feeling cold flu-type symptoms?
Advil, Tylenol, ibuprofen, things of that nature.
Well, someone just texted in that studies are showing that ibuprofen may aggravate it. Is that true?
I have not. That's, again, according to the physicians I've talked to, I have not been told that.
Okay.
A cold, like a Advil cold and sinus, or Tylenol cold and sinus medication.
Really, that's what you want, is that cold and sinus, because you're going to get that
will help.
Respiratory problems.
Mucinex, I was told from an ER physician, Mucinex does a good job of breaking up if you have some drainage and things of that nature. Also, Sudafed. There was a study in England that came out that said that folks had taken Sudafed, and that's helped with the symptoms.
I was reading an article the other day that in England they were paying folks $4,500 to be injected with the coronavirus. I read it from one of the news sources. They were paying them so they could try to come up with vaccines. So if people are volunteering to be infected and get $4,500, then apparently these physicians were thinking, well, we're not going to put this person's life at risk.
Right.
They're going to feel like they've got the flu for several days. But you take folks like Tom Hanks and his wife. Mm-hmm. They both contracted the coronavirus in Australia. They were in the hospital for about 3 days. They walked out. They're in, I guess, a hotel room somewhere down there in isolation, in quarantine for the next several days. But every single day, Tom Hanks was putting on Twitter what he was doing, what was going on, how he felt. And hopefully when him and his wife get to the point where the doctors don't think they're contagious anymore and they feel well, they'll get on television and say, don't panic. Here's what we went through.
That's right.
Because I read story after story of people who've gotten it and said, well, it just felt like any other flu I got.
Right. And that's the thing. Don't panic. 85% of the people that contract it have mild symptoms, and they're able to weather it out in 2 to 4 weeks. We've also created a hotline, a local hotline, that if anyone has any questions, comments or concerns, it'll be open Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And let me give you that phone number. It's area code 912-402-7625. And you can dial that number. A registered nurse will answer that phone. And if you have any questions or you just want to talk some things through, they'll be there to answer any questions that you have. To calm your fears or give you some guidance to help you out. And then after hours, there's the state of Georgia Department of Public Health has put together a hotline that's open 24/7, 365. That number is area code 844-442-2681. That's 844-442-2681. Go ahead and if you got any questions, you can give those folks a call.
And what was that local number again?
Local number is 912-402-7625.
76.
Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. We'll have someone to answer those phone calls and do anything. And if I can encourage folks to, think about our local businesses. This is really having a big effect on the local businesses. Some of them are doing takeout only. Patronize your local business, or maybe if they're closed temporarily, buy a gift card. When they open back up, we can support local business. We're going to get through this. You're going to see more cases before it gets better. But if we do all the things that the folks are asking us to do and telling us to do, we'll be able to flatten this curve out, and we'll be better because of it.
Someone just texted in and said the biggest concern is the elderly and try to stay away from nursing homes.
Correct. The elderly, if you have a neighbor and you're going to the store or something, or you're going to pick something to eat, pick them up something to eat, help them out. The elderly, like the flu, the elderly is more susceptible, and people who have compromised immune systems, folks undergoing treatment for cancer, or folks with poor lung functions, those folks are also susceptible. Again, it doesn't mean that if these folks were to contract it, that automatically it's going to be a death sentence, okay? Let's not. They are just more at risk. And again, 85% of the people, I want to go back to this, have very, very minor symptoms. And there's a lot of folks that are carriers of this that don't even know that they have it, So let's just utilize all the things that you're being told. And I can't stress it enough. If you really don't have any business at the hospital, we ask that you just kind of stay away from now until we get through this, so we can try to keep that infection down as much as possible.
I have two relatives that are in the medical field. One's a nurse practitioner. My other one's my half-sister who lives in Seattle, Washington, which is the epicenter, and she's involved in in-home health care. Her and her company stays with the elderly 24 hours a day. And so she's right there at the epicenter. They went through Seattle weeks ago, what we're going through right now.
Right.
And both of the relatives who are involved in the medical field feel that the media and everybody's overreacting. That it's like basically President Roosevelt said back in 1933, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. But people just need to be careful. Wash your hands. Use the sanitizers. Don't touch their face. Stay away from the elderly. If you are sick or have a fever, stay at home.
Just stay home.
That's that kind of stuff. Just be smart.
Just stay home. I mean, I get it. Just stay home. And it's the unknown. But remember now, we dealt with SARS and the H1N1 virus. And the H1N1 virus, I think its mortality rate was over 10%. This we're talking 1.5. We've had 146 cases in the state of Georgia. Unfortunately, one person passed away, and that's very unfortunate. We don't want anyone to pass away, but that's a mortality rate of less than 1%.
Yeah, the figures right here on the 2009 H1N1 pandemic. It was a pandemic back in 2009 when President Obama was president, and it was a pandemic, the first one America had since 1968. And it was a new flu virus that was emerging and spreading quickly. It started in April 2009. And from April 2009 to April 2010, I think it was known as the swine flu. People might be remembering that. The CDC estimated that there were about 61 million cases of the H1N1 virus back from 2009 to 2010, the Aprils, with some estimates as high as 89 million. 275 estimate was hospitalized, and about 14,000 deaths during that year from April 2009 to April 2010. There was approximately 14,000 deaths which is about 38 per day.
Yes.
And that was with the last pandemic. And we didn't have all that panic back then from 2009, 2010. And those scary figures right there.
They
but
are.
we all lived through it and didn't think much about it.
We did. We're very hopeful with the virus going forward. The warm weather, some folks are mixed on that. The warm weather, I think, helps. Also, a lot of the epidemiologists believe that this virus was created from the food market in China of people eating bats, but the bat meat was not cooked. So it was undercooked bat meat.
Oh, gee.
That's over, and that's how. So it was kind of a food-borne virus, and if that's the case, it may run its course. Also, people that get this will build up some immunity to it going forward, like they do other things. So it's just the unknown, and
yeah, that's what scared everybody is the unknown, the fear part of it. When if you put it in perspective, just be safe, do your regular stuff, and don't panic.
You know, as we wrap up here, my wife read something to me this morning as I was leaving, and really made me feel hopeful. And you know, she says we're going to choose faith over fear. Psalm 91, verses 10 and 11 said, "No harm will come to you, no plague will come near your tent, for he will give his angels orders concerning you to protect you in all your ways." And that inspired me this morning as I walked out the door. Again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to call those numbers. Know at the hospital, we're going to do everything we can to help those that need our help. We are preparing. Our folks are ready. We know of the potential challenge that's in front of us. And I appreciate you all allowing us to come here and talk about this. And I also appreciate you guys getting the information out that we send you. We really do appreciate it.
And we thank you for giving it to us quickly so we can inform our thousands of listeners here in Southeast Georgia the latest information from the Wayne Memorial Hospital.
Thanks.
Joe, anything else?
That's it. Thanks very much. And Bob, this no sports is killing me. Last night, Bob, I was watching the horse racing channel. They had a couple of horse races in Canada. Me and Brad were watching that, and he finally said, "I can't do this. Bob, it's killing me."
I just DVR'd all these sporting events. I'm still watching the Georgia win over Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. So.
We get a lot of our sports from a company called Westwood One, and since there's no March Madness, they were going to offer any affiliates that wanted it the biggest, most exciting games from March Madness in the past 20 years, and run it all month long if you wanted to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's killing me. I mean,
Good. At least there's NFL to talk about.
Yes, we talk about.
Yeah.
Golly, I just wanted to watch like action in the game, and the only thing I could find was someone told me, "Well, you can watch that horse race TV, horse race channel." So I put that thing on, and I watched that for about. I got about 25 minutes in. I just watched it, and I had no idea what I was really watching, but it was something. And finally, I said, "No, I can't do this, Bob. It's killing me."
All right. Well. Appreciate you coming in, Joe Alrighty.
Thank you.
Administrator, Wayne Memorial Hospital, and thank you so much for your time and your words there. World famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Nips Car Wash, located on Highway 301 South past McDonald's, and by Murphy Builder Supply on Northeast Broad Street in downtown Jessup. Let's check in the latest news from Fox News Radio.
The world famous Butch and Bob Show.